Nick, I like that you have your sheet up behind you again, like you're in the Taliban cave.
The jihad is alive.
It's just a red piece of fabric.
I missed the tarp. That was my favorite, is when you had the tarp up behind you.
Never had a tarp. I just had my actual photography stuff up.
Just cutting off journalists' heads and sending videos.
It's not red colored, it's red from staining.
Welcome to the Spindash Retro Gaming Podcast. Prepare yourself for the joy of classic gaming. Fired straight into your delicate little ear holes. Fire away.
You boys ready to fucking party?
Yeah.
2 weeks, man.
Dude, Dan's. What day is it fall on? Is it the 23rd of April?
Yeah. He's getting his second dose.
He's gonna get his second dose. You watch it. He's gonna be down for the count on his bachelor party.
I told him that. I'm like, dude, are you sure you want to do this then? He's like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'm like, all right, man. You know, I've given him like what my parameters. I'm like, what are my limits? Like XYZ. He's good with axe
what happened
throwing.
with mine? I didn't give parameters.
No, fuck you. You. I wasn't your best man, so I just won it.
I just had this mental image of like, and I know it's going to be a fairly tame endeavor. I don't think he wants to go crazy, but can you just imagine like Dan at a strip club getting the chills and he's just feverish and all these girls are just grinding on him as he's going down for the second COVID shake?
He just kind of like faints a little bit.
My favorite memory of Dan is at your bachelor party, Matt, where he's literally checking his checkbook and his bank statements of how much money he spent the night before. Like, first thing he did, he's just looking at his everything. He's like, fuck. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, because we got those VIP booths, and Dan, I don't know, man. Like, I was wasted. I don't know what I did. I
didn't know exactly what you did.
Back in those days, like, I could work as much overtime as I wanted. So for both of your bachelor parties, I had a stack of cash, and I was like, yep.
What I liked was when Dan wrote me a check the next day for I don't know what. Oh, that was yours. Never mind. That was different. That was yours. He wrote me a check, but he was so hungover he filled out the check wrong. It was worthless. Like, your bachelor party was stupid though, because again, in my phone, the order of my camera roll is like stripper, Dan's screwed up check, baby. Like, that's literally how, if you follow the order of my phone, it's just like, oh man, this dude went to a strip club, spent some money, wound up with a baby. Yeah. No, I saw that. I saw it has April 23rd date, and I just started laughing. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be bad news.
I'm worried because like that when that kid goes down, he doesn't rebound, you know? Like Matt, you can rebound. I can rebound pretty well. Nick can sweat it out for like 3 hours and then he's fine.
Yep. I'm like, oh, go. Okay, we're good.
Yep. Matt, I just got to punch him in the stomach every like 6 years and he's fine.
Rally.
I do like a good boot and rally. That's important.
You know boot and rally like you, Matt? My kid. My son can boot and rally.
That's good. That's a good man.
Yeah.
Because he like threw up twice going to John's house. Once there, once back. But he played like he was there the whole time and did it when he came back. But he pretty much puked. He's like, oh, I'm good. Let's just go about and do whatever thing.
He seemed all right. I set up the fatty.
The fatty.
Where is it?
Oh, he got his fatty.
Fat TV. Did you get your memory card yet?
No, tomorrow.
Oh, I actually get to do a pickup today too.
Well, Nick, do you want to welcome us in?
Hey, let's bring this in, guys.
Ooh.
Nice spiking mic.
Welcome to another episode of Spindash Retro, where we talk about how John is a cheater and always will be a cheater. Today's episode, we're going to be going over game cheats and game Genie and other cheating peripherals. John?
Yes. I don't know. I'm just going to say yes because I am unashamed of my creative ways on how to beat video games.
Hits the power button. I won.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we're going over some cheats, boys. Some cheats and things that helped us make games better. I think it wasn't like Game Genie's thing. Like play the way you want to play. Enhancement. Play the games you want to play. How you want to play them. We'll talk about the infamous and most famous codes and how cheats have affected games and why were cheats actually in games to begin with. But before that, boys, are you drinking tonight? And what are you drinking?
John, you want to show some pride before I embarrass everyone?
I have a apple cider and whiskey. Had some apple cider for my kids' party, and it tastes pretty good with some whiskey in there.
Some birthday apple cider with some whiskey, huh?
Yes, sir.
I have a cup of straight vodka. No, that's not true. It's water. I'm very boring tonight. I know.
Wow.
I'll have to drink double next time, but I figured I would take it easy tonight so that I'm not in pain tomorrow.
So I guess I'm drinking for 2 tonight.
Yeah, well, don't worry about it because the next time we record, John will be leading the show, and I'm just going to get hammered, slurring my words, talking about John's game.
Oh yeah.
Well, because I needed that sound, so I now have cracked open 2 PBRs. So I'm drinking water, right?
Bubs. It's plural now. He's got 2.
Anyone have pickups this week or last week since we've been on?
I have none. I came very close to buying a recap kit for my Game Gear. I mean, it's like $6. I'm going to buy a couple batteries to fix my Game Boy games that the batteries have dead. Ever since the Xbox, I've been kind of in well, maybe I could solder this. Well, maybe I could solder that. So the Game Gear is next.
You're getting ballsy now.
I'm not going to stop until I burn through a board like John. Like that's the end game.
Punch right through that Wii board, man. Fuck it.
And I can always find a new Wii for John too, pretty quickly.
Oh, I have 3 of them.
I know. But if you
Yeah.
burn through them all, I can find you another one.
I have 4 of them. Yeah. I just have to go to dirty old town next to me, find some more janky video game stuff.
Yeah. So I actually had 3 pickups, but I got Sonic 2.
All right.
Sonic 1, then Matt's Bane, 112 in one 16-bit cartridge. Okay,
You just put that in your Genesis, and the Genesis starts to dissolve.
They're all
on fire.
They all tested, all work.
So
All work.
My understanding, and this could be like internet myth, and you could come back and say you're an idiot. Fine.
Yeah.
But the old consoles are designed to run on 5 volts.
Mm-hmm.
And all the chips are designed for 5 volts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all the chips that they put stuff in now, they're all 3.3 volts. So you've got this voltage mismatch on all these really cheap, AliExpress Chinese knockoff games that you get like that.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually over time that can wear down your Genesis or the cart. One of the two will fail. Something in the Genesis will or something in the cart will because of that voltage mismatch. So burn that fucking thing. Sell it as is on eBay, like all the rest do.
Yeah.
That's what I can do, probably. Or I might just keep it in the collection just for the sake of having it there. But I mean, you know how much it cost me for each game?
$5, $2, $1.
$1.50. Actually, $1.48 per game.
They paid him to take it.
Yeah, and this was it from a Goodwill.
Nope, this was at a Bull Moose of all things.
Wow.
It was good. And actually, the first thing I did, so let's bring it back to the codes, was when I played Sonic the Hedgehog, I did that code. Up, down, left, right, A star at the same time. So it was fun. It brought back a lot of memories just because it was the first game I had and and everything. So, but I went down a rabbit hole researching this episode for us.
I did not know how 0.
I didn't know how far cheats really integrated and why they became the way they were.
All right. Where do we draw the line here, fellas? What is cheating? Is it...
It depends on where your morals stand, I think.
Nick, what about stealing in Link's Awakening?
That's not cheating. That is part of the game. You're just labeled.
Well, by that definition, my dad has absolutely zero morals. None. Not even any amount of morals. He's the guy that plays solitaire, and he'll sit there and he'll keep hitting the H key for hint. And it's like, dude, what's the point of playing solitaire if you're just going to keep hitting the H key? And his line is always, well, it wouldn't let me do it if I wasn't supposed to do it. So it's not cheating.
Do you guys remember your first cheat? Like the first cheat code you used, or like that? Because I remember mine. Like what game was it, or did you actually use cheating? John, don't deny it.
Oh, Super Nintendo game Genie, Star Wars, Star Wars.
That makes sense.
That game sucked, dude. That was hard for a 7-year-old. What about you?
Well, I guess here's my question is, how are we going to define cheating? Because I remember my first, I would say, bout of cheating. I cheated playing pinball. So back in the day, we had the same pinball machine that's out that I have now. Yeah. They got it right around the time I had chickenpox, and I was a little kid. My dad would go off to work, and I'd be home fucking around with the pinball machine. I don't know how I did it, because I must have been a smart kid and just got gradually dumber. I'm like the Benjamin Button of intelligence. But I figured out how to punch in your own high score. There's like a certain combination that if you hit like this white button and you're dicking around on the inside of the pinball machine, you can set the high score. So I did that, and then I told Dad that I beat his high score while he was at work. And I raised the score to this like offensively high number. So like he spent days, he was bullshit that I beat his high score on his pinball machine. And then he eventually caught me, because he would beat me. He would beat my offensively high score because he'd spend days playing it. And then I'd just go and I'd hit the button the next day and crank it up above it.
You're an asshole. For me, it was for the Sega Genesis Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one. Up, down, left, right, A start at the same time. And I was also today years old, where I found out the debug menu for Sonic the Hedgehog.
With the C button. I learned that today too.
Huh.
I was like, wait,
All right.
what? I was like, how did I mean, the other one is just literally a level select, and you can hear different music for each stage. But that was my first code. I learned it from let's see, what grade was it in? I think I was in like second or third grade when I learned that.
Now, I got to ask you, because I was thinking about this. Did you learn it on the playground? Was that a big deal for you as it was for me back in the day? Codes on the playground.
So it wasn't on the playground. It was on the school bus.
Yes, okay.
So it was actually, it was weird. It was a kid that was actually grade ahead of me. And he actually shared my name, Nick, as well. Which is kind of funny.
Right.
I always thought he was really one of those, because he was in an older grade or a couple grades ahead. I always thought he was a really cool guy. And he's like, "Yeah, hey, you like Sonic?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorite games." He's like, "Here's a code: up, down, left, right, A star at the same time." And literally, it's for whatever reason, it is stuck in my head the whole time. And I couldn't. He told me at like the first school bus trip going into school. But for some reason, I just kept it in my head going, and I couldn't wait to get home to use it. And I was like, whoa, I can beat Sonic now. Because I never beat Sonic as a kid. I mean, it was like I get all the way to like the Star Zone, and as far as I always got. No, yeah. I'd get actually to Scrap, and I just never could go Scrap. Like, oh, cool, I get to the final. I remember just running down, like, yeah, running. Then you hit this Robotnik in the cylinders. And I still got a game over because I didn't fucking collect all the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, that's optional. That's
But-
optional.
But I just remember that was my first one. And, like you guys, I do remember the game Genie as well. I remember my first use of Game Genie was actually not for Super Nintendo, it was for the Nintendo.
Yeah.
So
I loved. There's something that like kids nowadays aren't. They're just not going to have that experience that we had because the internet exists. Like you're not going to have that code culture where you dart out at recess and everyone's out there and like the rumors are spreading. Like, oh, did you know that if you punch in this, you can do this? And of course, there's always some dipshit asshole who's lying, making up stuff. Well, I heard from my cousin that you could get this if you punch. And you go home like, I remember back in the day, like in Final Fantasy 3, because I used to rent that all the time. Like, oh, did you know if you did this, like General Leo wouldn't die? So you'd spend like days trying to like do the super secret cheat thing. I mean, facts and fiction like spread around the playground like wildfire when it came to codes. It was like such a weird time.
Yeah, he told me there was a naked lady if you watched the whole intro of Final Fantasy 3.
so you watched it on
just waiting
repeat for
there,
hours.
lotion the side, waiting.
I was 10, man. I didn't know that stuff yet.
You're just watching scrambled porn because you can't get the channel
staring.
in Final Fantasy.
What was another one? I remember trading like Mega Man codes after the level. Like, those ones where you beat the level and it gave you the code that you needed? Yep, writing them down in a notebook, taking that to school, and kids would copy it.
Well, Matt, you brought up a good point. Like, kids won't know the use of codes. Like, I don't think any games really they don't use, because they're all online now. So, like, you're playing online with someone else. So, there's no real cheating or game enhancement to be put in there.
Oh, especially in these games that you have like purchase things, or there's like achievements or rankings and stuff like that. You can't cheat. They're designed in a way. I mean, I guess you can find ways to glitch things or soming, but
but it's not
cheating
the same,
like what we had.
Yeah, it's not like the same like where before you start the game, you type it, you pound in this pass code or this code like in there. Like in Sonic the Hedgehog, you put in you go into the sounds and play each sound, and you get unlock to have supersonic immediately or something like that. They don't know that. But do you know why codes were entered in?
Well, regale us.
Codes were not for our were not initially made for our amusement or our ability to there, but it was actually made for game testers. So they could actually go through the level, and the game tester's not going to be like, oh yeah, this is easy cake. They're going to need assistance as well. But they would use those codes, be it like multiple lives or invincibility, just so they could play around in that level a lot longer and find if there was any bugs. So they could say, hey, you have a problem here. Hey, you have a problem here. So the person can go back in and fix the code. And what happened was someone just ended up leaving, the code in. And it was just like almost a happy accident finding the debug menu. But that's initially what they were. Now, when do you think the first, that's why I found skimming, going through the internet, when do you think the first code was?
I mean, I would guess that they go back as early computing PCs, but like literally my mind stops at the NES. You know what I mean? I'm sure there were there hidden things on the Atari or stuff like that. I just don't know of any.
Yeah. So I guess the first one I found was, and I'm sure if our listeners are listening,
our parents.
Our parents. Computer Space in 1971. By holding two buttons down on the left, you could start the game with a top score of 14. That was apparently the first.
Riveting.
Yeah, that was apparently the first thing. Other one, I guess, Manic Miner. You type in 6031769. The legend / or rumors was it was the developer Matt Smith's phone number or part of his driver's license.
I think I remember coming across that.
And before, the Konami Code and stuff like that, there'd be a system called Poke. Did you catch any of this, Matt? Did you find any of this?
I stumbled upon Poke here and there, but I can't remember what exactly it stood for, other than I think it was like they would go into the code and just dick with it, right?
That's exactly what it was. This for the 8-bit games, they'd actually just go in, dick with the code, Like they'd enter in this, so you'd have X, Y, Z for like ability. The person going and dicking with the code, it was doing what Game Genie, Game Shark, and the other peripherals were already doing. Well, would be doing. So it actually was right before that stuff came out. Right before Game Genie did. I think one of the most famous of these codes is the Konami Code. Anyone know it?
Oh yeah, John. Yeah. Do you know it, John? Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if he's legit.
I used it on one of my Konami like Game Boy shoot 'em up, like Gradius.
Yep.
I don't know if it was actually Gradius. I can't remember the title, but it was up, down, left, right, BA, select, start.
Close. There's no select.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
No select. Just start.
Yeah.
And what I love about this code, one is like Matt, you already know it. You probably use it quite a bit. I always heard of it, but I never actually really ever used it. And John, the fact that you can still remember it, and when was the last time you probably actually used it? Years.
Didn't we try to play Contra somewhere?
I guarantee that's the one. Like I know Gradius is kind of the one that everyone. Well, Gradius is probably I think one of the ones where it originated, but Contra I think is the one where everyone knows it from.
Yeah,
you might also just think of it as the Contra code. I mean that's
right. Infinite lives, right?
I can remember the first time that I played that, and if I remember right, it's been so long, but I think to get 2-player to get 30 lives or whatever it is different than. I mean, it may be like up, down, left, right, BA. Something to get like 30 with the 2. The 2-player I thought was different, but I remember the first time that someone showed me that that's what you could do with Contra. Like we stayed up all night just like playing Contra. Like we'd beat it and we'd go play, we got to fire it up, play another round. Like it was so much fun.
Yeah.
That game was, unless you were a pro, as a kid, you're not getting through Contra without that.
Nope.
It's almost a requirement to play the game.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. I think I ended up using it with Super Contra.
Really? I didn't know it worked on that.
I think it did. I can't remember. I played a lot of Super Contra with my friend. We'd see how long it'd take us to beat the game. We'd see like if we could beat it in a certain amount of time. I think what was great about the Konami Code though, that it actually has reached my kids in a weird way.
Yes!
Matt, you probably had this because our kids are the same age. But they make a was it from Play Cool or Play School? I think it's toys that
either
game
them
had.
Or Fisher Price or one of those.
Fisher Price is it look it looks like an Xbox controller, but if you go up, down, left, right, BA, it automatically it'll play a special tune and it says you win. I thought that. Like whoever was a developer or whoever like said, "Hey, I need this in here." That's brilliant because any parent is like, "I wonder," and it's like, "Wow."
Some websites have it.
Yeah,
I don't remember all the listing. I can't remember which ones do, but like certain websites are set up so that if you go in, you punch in up, down, punch in the code, it'll do something on the website.
I think
because you figure
for a little
these
bit.
people that make these products that we're out buying, they're all dorks like us.
Mm-hmm.
So, the first time you give them the power to create a product, they're saying, yeah, this Konami Code was so big I'm just going to slip that in, see if somebody notices. And it's like, it's made its way into like everything.
Yeah.
Now I want to see this. What websites uses Konami Code? What do you think?
He does it on Zencaster and shuts us down.
No, Zencast is fixed. Zencast is fixed.
Jeanette.
Alexa does it. I know Alexa does it because I recited it to Alexa one time. Siri does it. BuzzFeed does it. Nick Dom does it. Don't know what that is. Dueling Analog, CSS Line.
Pornhub.
God, I hope that is. Can you just imagine just like X Hamster or something like that?
Go into the forbidden zone.
You're like, oh, shit.
The stuff you would get on a porn site typing in the Konami Code. That's the backroom stuff. That's the stuff they keep behind the saloon doors.
That's stuff they keep behind the beaded curtain.
Backroom of the backroom.
But the fact that code has reached that far, that's amazing. Still,
Everybody used it, man. Everybody played something related to that back in the 90s.
Definitely.
I had a couple other codes that were resonated with me.
What codes?
Which
Other
ones?
codes resonated with you?
Doom. Do you guys remember the
Ooh.
codes for Doom?
No, but I remember had to use God. The God.
That's
code
it.
quite a
God
bit.
mode.
God
Yeah.
mode. IDDQD, IDDKFA. You type them in. It was like bam, bam, 2 codes. Like IDDQD was God mode. IDKFA was like all the weapons, all keys. I think that's it. All weapons, all keys. I mean, you'd fire it up and like those. I don't know. My fingers remember what to hit.
Didn't they use it on Wolfenstein too? Wasn't that the same one for Wolfenstein?
I don't know. I know it was like Doom 1 and Doom 2 had it.
Mm-hmm. See, I didn't do many. I didn't have a computer growing up really until like my high school. So I never played computer games unless it was on my friend's house. But he's like, "Oh, you're dying quite a bit here," and like you do, he literally just like
Type it right in.
real quick. I'm like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, there you go. Now you just blast stuff and not die." I'm like, "Oh, okay, fun." And I go off this plane like, "Ah!" Ooh, beer's kicking in.
He's done.
I need to gain tolerance.
The Fosters. Get the Fosters.
I'll do
Gotta
one
do
for
it, man.
Do I have to do it?
Yeah.
For Dan, I'll do it. Let's jump into Game Genie. Matt, in the chat, you were talking about some legal things that were going on.
What I didn't realize, and I've got to adjust my notes, but I didn't realize all the cheat devices that we know of today, they're all from Britain. They're all British companies. That's their origin. Like, all of them.
Well,
Nick, what are your thoughts on the British and their cheat devices?
Hi, Matt.
You have made some comments that I'm curious what your thoughts are about good old Great Britain and its legacy of cheating.
You know, that Doctor Who show is really great. And the Tudors, I mean, come on. Downtown Abbey, I mean, you got me there.
What? Where is this going?
Nowhere. Because I'm not going to get anything out of me about it.
John, before we climbed on tonight, Nick had some choice words for the British.
You know,
So
I'm just going to throw
won't
some more
repeat-
tea into the water.
The
there.
harbor?
The harbor.
All right, man. What you got some disdain for the Brits for, huh?
I had no disdain. I'm actually a Britphile, so I have no disdain. I just made an off-cuff comment just because I wasn't thinking.
Figures that you put your foot in your mouth at least once a day.
Well, that's why I couldn't click record fast enough. It was one of those things that got in there. As soon as you jumped on, I'm like, no, I'm losing Prime Nick.
I wonder if it will ever top the Jade Egg, but it probably won't.
No, nothing could ever top that. That was back
No.
when we cared about our lives and the consequences of what we say. And now we're just old, jaded, sick of life. We don't care. Gwyneth Paltrow. Stinky candles.
Stinky candles.
So Game Genie, right?
Game Genie.
Game Genie was made by this company named Codemasters, which they're involved in I think they made a lot of games over there. I think Codemasters is like to the British is a well-known name. It doesn't really ring a bell to us here. So they created the Game Genie and it was sold under multiple names. And I don't know if Codemasters sold it over there. I know up in the I think Camerica was another company that had the license, and they made unlicensed Nintendo games, I believe. I gotta check this, but for some reason I think like Chiller, that weird shooter game I was telling you guys about on NES, was through Camerica, but don't quote me on that. Either way, Galoob was the one who was
That's the one
who was licensed to sell it in the United States.
Yeah.
And, we know them from, I believe Galoob made Micro Machines. I think that's their claim to fame is, other toys.
It's also a good game for the Sega.
Great game. You get to plug in the thing into the cart. It has like a port on it. So Galoob got into some trouble with Nintendo over the creation of this. Because you got to remember, Nintendo, I'll just come out and say it, Nintendo was a bunch of dickheads back in the day. And they still are. To be fair,
they've gotten worse.
They're great product, terrible evil company. They're assholes. So they went and so the game Genie was announced in I think it was May of 1990. And then days later, Nintendo sues Galoob, says this is a derivative work, claims copyright. Galoob wins. There was a phase in this whole thing where you could not buy a Game Genie in the US. They just ran a bunch of ads. Apparently, Galoob won their case in Canada. So there was this big "Thank You Canada" campaign they had, where if you wanted a Game Genie, you had to buy it. So this has been a great episode to bring Paul on. He could talk about how the Canadians saved our cheating ability. But so Nintendo lost. They were ruled that it was not a derivative work. And I think the idea behind that was if they were selling a modded copy of say Mario 1, that would be a derivative work. But in this case, the Game Genie's useless without the cartridge you've already paid for and the system. It's no different than if just, someone else is getting into the code, editing their own thing. So Nintendo had to pay Galoob something like $16 million for the fact that they stopped them from selling for, I think it's over the course of a year. So, fuck you, Nintendo.
Yeah, they got kicked hard, didn't they?
Well, who didn't get kicked hard?
Who?
Nick's friends at Sega. Because
Sega for the win.
Sega came on board and they said, not only are we not going to fight you on this thing, but we'll license it. Sega gave it the old stamp of approval. Good job, Game Genie. Their only request was that they didn't want Game Genie to edit, to do any work with games that had save files. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but John, I know later in the episode we want to talk about game-breaking glitches that allowed us to cheat. One in particular you had. And I think the reason why is because let's say you've got little Timmy and he's dicking around with these these codes, and we can talk a little bit about how the Game Genie works as a whole. Little Timmy does something that corrupts the save file. If it saves I got to wonder if it's because the parents are going to have to get into the cartridge and rip the battery out and solder the battery back on in order to erase all the corrupted saves. I'm wondering if that's why Sega did that. So Sega was ahead of the game on this one. There was a Game Genie on Genesis. There was a Game Genie on the Game Gear. Fully licensed. Good for Sega.
Good job.
Yeah.
Now, Matt, what if I told you that the Game Genie was not the first peripheral device to help you cheat?
Well, tell me more.
So, doing some research, and I didn't know this. I thought literally Game Genie was literally the first of its kind. But there's actually, the Commodore had something called the freezer cartridge. Or had a freezer cartridges. And then Atari had something called the Darth Vader.
All right, I want to hear about the Darth Vader. Tell me that.
Please.
I mean, it utilized the PROM chip inside of a blank cartridge, and it pretty much did something actually, which the same device before these called the Multiface, which was developed by Romantic Robot, and you would connect it onto the expansion for a device, the system called Spectrum. I've never heard of it, Matt. You're
Wait,
more.
Is this the British thing? Is this
I think so. Yeah,
the ZX Spectrum?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So the Brits have been doing it for a while.
They're all cheating assholes. That's that freezer cartridge that you talked about. That was made by Daytel, and they're a British company.
Yeah, I mean, it did pretty much exactly the same thing that what we were talking about earlier. Poke did, where it kind of let them go in and rewrite the code. just a little bit easier. So there's actually devices before Game Genie that did it.
That blows my mind.
Yeah. That's impressive, man. Those are some dedicated people because that is not easy stuff.
No, not at all. And I think like, okay, what do we want to do? Let's make this fun. But I'm just trying to think like for like Atari, like what do you have a cheat for? Like what type of cheat? Like
I'd say similar things to the Nintendo, right? More lives, shoot faster,
Yep.
Well, they had
Missile
like
command.
there was a device that also a peripheral that had like an auto shoot on it, like a joystick with auto shoot.
Yeah.
Rapid fire, and that was the other thing that like to help cheat and help to go for those games. So it's kind of nifty.
Yeah, missile command, dude. You could have used bigger like blast radius. That pissed me off about that game. where you had to shoot the missiles that were coming at you, and the friggin' like thing that when you were shooting them down, it was a tiny little dot. And that would have come in handy. I quit many times on that game because it pissed me off.
One of the things, do you guys know how Game Genie and these other things work?
Well, Game Genie goes in and just rewrite a code in there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's basically like an intermediary. Like it works in between the game cartridge and the system itself. So what happens is like when you plug your cartridge into the Game Genie and then you plug the Game Genie into the system, I'm just thinking about the NES, it gives you the opportunity at the start to punch in the codes. And those are basically like locations where certain things are stored when the game's running it, they're like memory locations. So like if you have one life and it's all machine code, if you have one life that's stored in a certain place, you fire up the Game Genie just says, okay, well, I'm going to intercept, I'm going to look for this, and when this happens, I'm going to replace it with this. So, that's how you're able to punch in. I think Game Genie's codes, if I remember right, they're just a collection of different letters that aren't confusing. And I think they're just swapped out for hexadecimal code. I think is all that is. It's just they made it like A is very easy to find. P is very easy. Letters that you're not going to confuse 0 and O.
How did they know? Did they have the source code for these games?
No, I think they had people that just dicked with it. Because once you find the location, like I know, here's where I'm going to find lives. And maybe because they've had some way with a computer to observe things are changing, these values are changing. Here's the location. Once you find the location, it's just a matter of saying, well, I'm going to play around with this. I'm going to tweak this one thing. Okay, well, that made me get 2 lives versus 1. Yep. How do I get 3? That's how a lot of people, like, you could almost make your own code. Because like once if you find something, change it just a little bit, see what it does. A lot of times it just crashes.
Yeah, or it won't start. Because I remember, like, if I didn't put in the right code or enter in something wrong, the game wouldn't start properly. I remember that there used to be a code for you had to put in first slot so you could enter in other codes.
Yeah, some had a double string, some of the codes. Yeah, right. I could go dig out the Game Genie manual and see, like...
Go get it!
Oh, God, it's tucked away. It would take me forever.
You had it early.
That was the regular. I'm talking Super, which I think it got tattered in my house, so it's probably in pieces somewhere. But I think if Nick, you might have to and I didn't look this up. I swear it's DC9C E4D8 is Final Fantasy 3 unlimited money.
Whoa! You're saying right off the top of your head, you remembered the Final Fantasy Unlimited Money from Game Genie.
You can double check me, but I think that's it.
Well, fucking I have to.
That's how much you cheated.
That's how much you fucking cheated. Okay.
Come on, man. You know how hard that game was to beat as a 9-year-old?
I wouldn't know because I kept renting it and then people kept erasing my saves.
Is this for the SNES?
SNES, Final Fantasy 3.
Well, John, what was the number again?
DC9C E4D8.
On the money.
Yes!
You found it?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Get the maximum amount of gold was the code.
Boom.
Yep. That's it. Now, one thing that we should mention about the Super Nintendo one, and I don't know why this is the case. It's the same exact thing with you guys ever seen honeybee adapters? Have you ever seen that
No.
peripheral? It's an adapter that you can plug in rather than going into your Super Nintendo and clipping the little tabs in the back so you can play Super Famicom games on it. They're the same thing. They just have different shaped cartridges. You could buy this adapter called the Honeybee, which allows you to play Super Famicom games on your Super. But it only works with games that don't have special chips because it doesn't have the pins on the side to do the chip pins. Well, that's the same problem that the game Genie has. So like Mario RPG, Yoshi's Island, what the hell else is Mega Man X2 and X3? None of those are compatible with the game Genie because game Genie is not compatible with those that have the side pins.
That's right. Huh.
It doesn't have anything. It doesn't have anything to pass through those pins.
Yeah.
And I guess later games would prevent you from doing it. They came up with ways to find out if you were dicking around with these things and going through checksums, and they would prevent you. Like I thought Donkey Kong Country was one that had a way of detecting it, and then
was it something that Nintendo's like, hey, you guys are developing this game for us. We don't want to work with Game Genie.
Oh, yeah, because Nintendo did not like it. Nintendo, I mean, I'm sure paying $16 million to somebody because you're trying to stomp them out because you're Nintendo probably stung a little bit. So, can't have cheating.
Yeah.
Can't have a bunch of Johns running around.
I mean, I had a Game Genie for my NES, for my Super NES. I never had a Sega Game Genie though.
The only console where it was like legitimately approved, the one you didn't have.
Yeah. I had it for everything else, but I did not have it for that at all.
You want to hear a fun story?
Yes.
Fun story. Go, John.
I have a Game Genie for the NES that I have never used.
Don't.
Like, is it like it's boxed and everything?
No, it's out. It was in a yard sale find by my dad because he would still like he got me the Nintendo. He got me a regular Nintendo after the Super Nintendo. He found it and there's some games with it, and I would play it sparingly, but I kind of neglected it for the Super after like a year. And he still found stuff here and there, and he found a Game Genie with the manual intact.
Ooh.
And I honestly could say I've never used it.
Well, hold on. I'm going to stop you. Maybe you should use it, and here's why. Two reasons. One, you suck at old games, so you need it. So when we add some NES games back to the list, you're going to need it. And two, you were complaining that your pins on your NES are fucked, and you were going to boil them, like I was saying.
Yep.
You might not need to, because if they're all bent and stuff. So the way the NES works, right? It's kind of like they call it a zero insertion force. It's different than like the way the Super Nintendo pins. I'm French as hell, so I'm trying to explain this with my hands. I know my hands are not in frame. Like with the NES, right? It slides in, and then you push the mechanism down, and it's designed so that the pins make contact with no insertion force. Well, the Game Genie, because it sticks out, they basically had to make it like a thicker board than what the NES was designed to handle. So you could potentially, if you had like a brand new NES, if you kept doing it, you'd eventually fuck up your NES because it would bend the pins down. A lot of people have like did this over and over and over, and the only way they get their NES to play stuff is if they use a Game Genie because their pins are all fucked. Well, your pins are already fucked. So take the Game Genie, plug in, and then run everything through the Game Genie.
Yeah, that could work.
I got excited. I have a solution that requires you to do no work.
Do you just want me to play Faxanadu that I got last year?
Yes.
All right. What is your most used cheat code in your life?
I never had a Game Genie, And then
Same like you, Matt. I actually didn't really use the Game Genie. Oh wait, no, I lied. I'm lying. I'm a sack of shit right now.
you told us you had one for every system. I thought you said on the previous one.
I had one. Yeah, I had a Game Genie for every system, but it doesn't mean I used it. My mom used the fuck out of it, especially for like games. She like I don't know how to do this, so she like have it. So she starts with like John unlimited gold on a game or something. I'm like, oh okay, mom, great job. But I had a Game Shark.
What'd you have that for?
I had that for 2 systems. Oh, actually, do we have? I think we had it for 3 systems. We had it for the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. And I remember because you had to put a disc in too.
Oh, so you had one of the later model ones.
Yeah, when they first came out.
No, because it'd be later. I was under the assumption that when you have a PlayStation, like because that generation's weird. The early game somethings, I think it was Game Shark. It might have been Pro Action Replay. You'd plug into the expansion port in the back.
Yeah. Yep. I had one of those, but I think you had to use a disc too.
You had to use a disc too. Weird.
Or maybe that's for the PS2. One of the systems, I remember we had a disc cheat disc as well. There's a cheat disc as well. I remember we had one of those. I could be just blurring at lines. But we had it for the PlayStation, and I had it for my Game Boy Color. I used it I remember I ended up using it for one of the Pokemon games. And I ended up screwing up my file, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, that happens.
Or, like, it didn't always work either. Or it randomly worked. So.
I don't know. And I'm trying to do some mental math here. So it's either Warcraft 2, the code for getting rid of the fog of war and like the map and opening up the map, or it has nothing to do with video games whatsoever. And because I saw it on YouTube and it was like, shit, man, 2009, back when YouTube was cool and you could find dumb tricks on there. It's for a vending machine. And you push and you push the 4th button, like the old ones when it was all vertical selection and they had the round button.
Yeah.
You push the 4th button, you push the 2nd button, you push the 3rd, and you push the 1st. And it lets you into the menu. And on the some models, you could go cycle through and select vend. But the majority of the time, it just showed you the sales. Like it showed you what was there, like what was left. So when guys would go to refill them, they could check before they opened it up. And since I traveled for work for like 2 years and I was in hotels all the time, I did it to every fucking vending machine that I came across.
How often did it work?
It worked once.
I like how your most used cheat code is to steal things from vending machines in real life.
Yep.
Not even a video game.
And it worked one time in South Carolina in middle of fucking nowhere. And I'm not sorry about it.
What did you get out of it? What was it?
Coke. Just Coca-Cola. Old, didn't have a lot going on in where I don't remember where I was. But yeah, so that or it was on screen in Warcraft 2.
I remember using my little code book a lot. I don't know why, and I'm going to add it to our list, add it to my unfulfilled promises. Maybe we'll get to this game in 2023. But there's a game, Little Nemo, the Dream Master for NES.
Oh, I've heard that's a bitch.
It's a Capcom game. It is, in fact, a bitch. Yes.
Yeah.
And I would always punch in the different level select codes. I'd use my little book and do that. That may be my most used. I liked that game an awful lot as a kid. Uncle had that one.
Yeah. Wasn't that a movie? Little Nemo?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a movie.
Yep. Yeah. Nice.
So let's see what else we've got for devices and things.
I had the Game Shark for the Game Boy. Also, barely remember using it, but it's in there somewhere,
Well, so
That was
Game
pretty
Shark
cool.
came on the field and kind of ultimately replaced Game Genie. for the next gen.
What's weird about that, Nick, is that, like, Game Genie just died. Like, they discontinued him in like 97 and they didn't go on. I mean, really, it was Pro Action Replay and Game Shark, over here that were what took. No one else was really competing in that space.
And I guess there's some differences into it. So, reading here, the Game Shark was preloaded with 4,000 preloaded codes. Codes could be entered, but unlike Game Genie, codes were saved in the onboard flash memory of the cart or the item, and so you wouldn't have to re-enter. So, but the thing is, Game Genie tried to make a Game Genie 2 for the SNES in mid 1993. Yeah, but ultimately, no Game Genie devices were released by Codemasters for the fifth generation consoles. So for the N64, for there,
I would have to think as time went on, it probably was a lot harder. What's that?
It got revived.
Yeah, Hyperkin, I think, owns it now. I just would think there's a lot more going on in a 64 game than an old NES or Genesis or something like that, PlayStation or something like that. You're moving a lot of data. I've got to think it's a lot harder.
I'll say that Game Genie for the Game Boy, that's a chunky mama.
Imagine walking around with that on the bus.
That is huge.
That's what she said.
Well, I guess the Game Genie 2 was supposed to have the ability to select codes, so you didn't have to enter anything in. It was all built in right there.
Well, it takes the fun out of it.
Well, you think if you had to go and you're like, oh, I have to go back to Game Genie, retype it in. It's just like select go, let's go.
Well, I wonder if they got the pins sorted out. I wonder if you could play, if they had other things that they could do. Star Fox, that'd be cool to have some Star Fox cheats. I mean, the big thing too is, like, yes, you can cheat with these, but you can also do just some batshit insane, like, weird stuff. Like, I remember in Mario 3, there was this weird thing where everywhere you ran, a platform would appear, like donut lifts would fall in, like weird glitch looking donut lifts. And when you stop moving, the donut lift would just, like, drop to the ground. And there was another weird one where, like, all the, like, the backgrounds with, like, the little bushes that would cause you to fall through the ground if you ran past one of them. Like, just crazy. There's like a couple of things that they figured out how to make the, like the background, how it's like, the nice, kind of pastel blue.
Yep.
Yeah.
It would flash pink and blue and this, like, seizure inducing, like,
oh, dude.
They had some crazy codes.
Well, I think some of the codes, for those, like, because we had a special round where I did the Game Genie code or not. Like, start with 1 life and stuff like that. I think because their ad was like, play the way you want it, customize it, make it, like, for you. So you think someone that was like, I want to see if I can get through all of Mario with 1 life.
Yep.
It was a way to kind of also test how good a gamer you are. Like, some of those, like, ones that you're like, oh, why do I have a deficit? Why do you want a deficit? Well, maybe the game doesn't have a hard mode, like you said, John. Maybe it's just like, there's just 1 mode. I'm like, well, I want to see how good I am. I'll have it so I can't go above 1 life.
There was a code on Mario World that, like the levels, I think it was Mario World, where the flying fish pop up from the ground. You have to run by them. Every level had flying fish. So, I mean, like, exactly what you're saying, Nick, like, how hard would that be? Like, if you've beaten Mario World 50,000 times, that would be a challenge to beat the entire game with flying fish attacking you. You
like,
get
low jump too, you jump short. That's got to prevent you from actually beating levels. Low jump.
Well, no, you want to probably save your feather or something to keep yourself to do that. So you might be more apt to use some of the special stuff in there. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to have the feather for this event because I can't jump more than X.
Okay, some of these weren't in the Game Genie manual.
No, and did you read about the subscription you could have?
No, dude. What?
So they kept working. They kept coming up. Like, you figured these people are just dicking around with these games, right?
Dude.
They kept finding more and more codes. Because again, if you just found a place in the memory and you tweaked it a little bit, that's a new code, you know? So you could sign up for a subscription, and then if they found more codes, they'd send them to you. You know, I think GamePro had a thing where you could have like a section of Game Genie codes. You know, they tell you, you know, how to do this, and this. So I mean, they kept it going. You know, which is pretty cool. Like, you know, how cool that'd be to have like your little Game Genie manual, and then like one day you open up the thing and like, oh, here's some more codes. You know,
that'd be fun.
Yep, I see a game. There's references to the GamePro right here. I
might have to go fire that up now and like try out some of these Mario glitches.
It's just, what a different world. I don't know. The culture behind this is just so different than anything nowadays. I mean, I guess now we have all the codes in front of us. You can go to GameGenie.com and find all the codes people found. There's like a repository for it. But imagine finding out a new code. Like, you know, you're just sitting around and you discover you made the game work crazy. Like, how exciting that would be. You know, it's like you're a goddamn magician.
So Game Shark was made for the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Micro, which is probably just a Game Boy Advance one, the DS apparently, N64. They made it for the GameCube, PSP, PlayStation 2, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, Xbox. So, and what else were there? Everything's out of the UK. I'm sorry, I'm looking at all these different ones, and they're all, let's see.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the brands, I can tell you, Game Genie's was owned by Codemasters initially.
Yeah.
Pro Action Replay was owned by Daytel, and I want to say Daytel did all the Pro Action stuff over there. Over here, Game Shark was basically Pro Action Replay rebranded by, I think it's Interact. And then eventually it was sold to Mad Cats. I think Mad Cats is the one that owns the Game Shark brand now.
Yeah.
But all these cheap devices, they all came from Britain.
I don't remember what my turbo controller for the Super brand is, but I cheated with that, man. Mega Man, Final Fantasy 3, Super Turrican. I used that a lot. You just flick the thing to rapid fire the whole time.
So it's funny you say that, John. I would plug in. Me and my friend would for Pokemon like Blue or Red. Remember how you go gambling with the slot machines?
Yeah.
We would plug that in with a Super Game Boy, plug in the actual Super Pad, the Joy Pad, the fighting pad.
Oh yeah.
And it had a turbo function on one of them. So we would literally turn the turbo function on, click it, and let it go for a couple hours and walk away, and would come back with the full amount of 999 coins. Yep. So we can just buy the fucking Porygon.
That was Final Fantasy 3. John, did you ever take down a controller on that one in the river?
Luke and I got up to level 54 by leaving it on overnight. Yep. We did the turbo. I got that, and he's like, we need to try this. So we did it. We left it going, and we made sure that nobody touched the TV for a while.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You reminded me of something else that was very, very popular in cheating. Before we get into other stuff, what are you guys' thoughts on screen looking?
We developed this Backstreet song ripoff.
A Backstreet bong.
Sorry,
Backstreet.
So we had a friend. And my other friend will probably pop on here. His name is Nick as well. He'll probably join us for episode. But we'd be playing Halo, Call of Duty, whatever. It'd be a first-person shooter. And this is before we were actually doing. We all had our own device. We all afford our own system, or we were bringing our own systems over. So we playing. I think it was. We're playing one of the earlier Call of Duty games. I think it was like Call of Duty 3. And we have this friend Chris, and he would always screen look. And when we knew this, because every time we'd be sniping, he would duck right before we shoot. So I remember my friend Nick and Colin would do, I think it's either a Backstreet or NSYNC. Chris, you're always screen looking. When this in one of the melodies of one of the boy band songs, and they actually got to the point where I think they did almost a full version of the song about him screen looking and dodging every time.
Modified songs are my favorite. Matt used to do that a lot.
I sang everything and everywhere I went.
I remember that.
That's good. Screen looking is definitely cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why online play is better, You really can't. I mean, it's only in first-person shooters. Mario Kart, I don't know. You can see if somebody's coming up behind you. Doesn't give you an advantage because
you have the ability to kind of look behind you as well. You just have to press one of the rear view.
Yeah, or
button.
You can see an item that someone has. I guess if they have a blue shell. Yeah.
It goes back to my dad's theory, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't allow you to do it if it was, it's not cheating if they allow you to do it. I mean, you can see the screen. I remember we used to play Halo, and we'd have big 16-player matches.
Oh, we did that. He did that in Halo too. My friend Nick would just be what was it? Chris would be like, "You're not mad at me." He's like, "No, I have accepted the fact that you're cheating, fat fucking shit." And I'm going to kill you one way or another. Be it now, I'll have to use something else to do it because you're always screen looking.
I like the insults that were hurled. When someone was being called a screen looker, that was serious. Your honor was on the line. I can remember my buddy Pat. He'd always just be screaming his head off and saying, "Randy, you screen looking, fuck, your mom's a whore." You could hear the whole house, the whole house. There'd be all 16 of us playing, and we knew Randy was screen looking because Pat's calling his mom a whore every time.
Oh man, my sophomore year roommate, who was kind of a wild guy and never really played video games. I had the Xbox and I brought it, and I had my TV, and I'd set up on the dorms. It was great because you could just plug right in to the Ethernet, and boom, you could play against whoever on the whole campus. And I started doing that, and he's like, "Hey, can I play?" And so I kind of got him to the point at Halo where he was competent. And he was so mad because I was all right, but playing against those guys online on the campus, it made you better because everybody was good.
Yep.
And
I bet you guys played against my friend Nick because he brought he had his Xbox up there.
Yeah, and
you
so
guys he was at school at the same time. So
yeah, he got so mad because he thought I was screen looking. He went and bought his own TV and Xbox.
Have you seen the pictures of people taping things? Taping things to this cardboard things so that you physically can't screen. One person's got the blanket and he's looking at the top of the screen. The other person's below the blanket.
So we would because if we do quarter screens, where we're all four playing us, we'd be playing. We'd make sure maybe it'd be hard, we put the person we wouldn't say we put someone on one side of the TV, so it made it a little bit more difficult for them to kind of look peer over. That way, our teammates would be right off the side. It's just funny what we did to kind of prevent the screen looking.
Yeah, those were the days, man. Yeah. Those were the days.
But every time, you'd hear it was funny too as well. Is in Call of Duty, you would hold your breath when you had a snipe.
Yeah,
and immediately my friend would duck as soon as he heard the breath, you just duck. You're like, "Oh." My other friend was like, "Damn it, Chris, quit fucking looking at my screen."
Those were the days, man. Glitches. Do you guys
I
want to
never
talk
used any.
Glitches.
Oh,
Well, wait. I'm trying to think if I ever really used any.
I know of one that I used. Nick, I guarantee you used it. I
We
know.
all
Okay,
used
you
it.
guys talk about glitches because I don't know if I used it really. I can't remember using any.
Nick, you had to
Pokemon,
have the
dude.
missing no. You had to have done the missing no
Oh
trick.
yeah! Oh, so yes. Oh,
There's
the
no
biggest
way.
glitch. Oh yeah.
That
One,
was huge.
I had unlimited master balls.
Yep.
I had all the balls.
Yes, you did. The
All
reason why
all the balls and all the rare candies.
just load them up. Well, you had to catch the birds. The birds were a pain in the ass to catch. I can't remember the three Articuno, and I can't remember the other ones, but they were a pain in the ass to catch.
Zapdos, and Moltres.
It's a bitch. You need a master ball, but you need the master ball to catch Mewtwo. So
You know.
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Ultra Ball Mewtwo.
No, dude, cheat. That's the answer.
Fucking
Cheat.
Cunts.
Fly to. I can't remember the name of the city. Talk to the old man.
Fly down and around.
Fly down. Go down to the island and go up and down the coast.
Yep.
I watched why it did that. There's a whole video that explained like the dynamics of that. It's like when that old man demonstrates how to catch the Weedle, it's not what the game's doing is it's swapping you and it's swapping like the naming data and the location data. So what it expects you to do is to go into grass, and I guess it resets the values when you go to fight something like you're back. It doesn't plan for the fact that you're going to the island. You shouldn't be doing that yet.
Yeah, you go to Cinnabar Island.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be able like I guess the edge of the island, like the edge tiles, are places where you can generate Pokemon, but other places can't. Like the switch gets fucked up. So the way that when the old man loads his data into you, it stays there. You know, insert Jeffrey Epstein joke. So,
Ooh.
but the game goes and tries to load the stuff, and I guess the old man data is still sitting there, so it causes it to fuck up. So when it's loading the levels, it goes into like Crazy Town where it's like I'm gonna try to load something that can't load. And it loads the missing number. And for some random batshit reason, I have no idea why it affects the sixth item in your pack. You get is it 128? You get unlimited, whatever it is. It's you get a ton. And so that's how you get.
Didn't it fuck up your game too?
It fucked up your picture. It fucked up your picture when you went through the Elite Four, if I remember right.
So there's different images of the missing note. There's one of the two skeletons of Kabutops, and what's the other one? Trying to look at it. Aerodactyl and the ghost. Then the typical one you see, like the almost looks like a random QR code.
Yeah, that's the one I know.
That's what
like
I
the
always
rectangle
saw.
with a corner taken out.
Yeah. And then there's one that looks like this. I think this other image. I'm trying to look at it. It's on Bulbapedia. Apparently, it see through. Stupid. But apparently, it actually had a registered. It had type.
What type is missing? No. Ghost?
It's a bird. No, because it worked. This worked into both red and blue, as well as yellow, and it is a bird normal or normal 9999 in yellow.
See, I know. I thought
actually,
if you caught it,
aesthetic.
You fuck it up.
Yeah,
yeah, you didn't want to catch it. I thought like there was a other myth, and I kind of saw this on one of the social medias, that missing nose data is actually in there. Is actually one of the Pokemon that you'd find in the second generation. I'm trying to see if that's. I'm trying to confirm it. False or so.
I see John like feverishly looking at his phone right now, and all I can think of is he's looking to find out how he did that other glitch that I was thinking of.
Yep. I think the one that I have the most experience with is in Final Fantasy III, and it's technically the sketch glitch. So if you use Realm and you paint someone that's invisible, and there's like a couple creatures that this happens on, it can do a whole list of things, and it's going to give you a lot of stuff in your inventory. Like it can set you up for the whole game. Like it gives you a ton of stuff, random items that there's a one-off of in the game, or it can freeze it, or I think it can wipe the entire cartridge. And I don't think I actually did the sketch glitch. I think I had a cartridge that something was wrong with it. And because I remember this, I sat down on my beanbag chair too hard, and the Nintendo blipped for a second, and then it came back, and I had all that stuff. So the glitch happened without that. Matt, I don't know if that happened to you at all.
No, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure you told me to do the sketch glitch once because I was playing on an emulator, and you didn't tell me what it would do. So I just was like, okay, you just try it. Just try it. And I was just stupid. And like, fine, I'll try it. All these like weird graphics start like raining down through the screen. And it's like, what the fuck is going on with this thing? Like it goes nuts.
Yeah.
And I didn't get any items. I think did it turn all my items to like 0 or something? It did something really weird with my items.
It gives you like 99 dirks in a bunch of slots.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was bizarre. And I remember it happened again. And like the Nintendo got hit and the whole cartridge wiped on me. So it was it was a risky move. But that's my only experience with like a game glitch. No. My kid kicked my Nintendo and ActRaiser deleted my save file.
That's not really like a beneficial cheating glitch. Yeah. That's just
a glitch. That's like I have the OG Super Nintendo that is very fragile, and like if you have any force on it, it just like shits itself.
That's probably a good stopping point, though. I think we've covered
hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this can devolve so quickly, and I think the youth and the gamers of this time will just not know the pleasures it was having these glitches, these codes, these, the play, like you said, Matt, earlier, the pleasure of having a playground codes where you talked about games.
Yeah, that whole culture's gone. I was like, we just spent, I don't know what this is going to be when I finally cut it down, but we spent at least an hour.
And we probably keep on going.
Talking about cheating. And, in a lot of cases, it was just like the stupid fun of just taking a game that we played a bazillion times and then like doing something differently. And I think that culture of like, maybe there's that kid that you never talked to at school, but maybe he had a Nintendo Power and he knew a code that you didn't. Like you would talk to that kid. Like on the playground, I guess everyone was an equal during the age of codes. Someone's going to have some info. Like you all came together. Like you may, maybe like the Breakfast Club scenario where you're all from like your different walks of life, but you're all going to gather around to share codes and then go home and enjoy your games that way.
I did this fatality. Oh yeah, fuck you. You did.
I had a game. Well, it's funny you say that, John. I actually my friend had a Nintendo Power that had all the fatalities for Mortal Kombat 2, and it was like a sheet that you could tear off and you could cut up. And I just remember just going hours just practicing my favorite character, Sub-Zero's. Next time we'll have one of these in between episodes. We'll talk about Nintendo Power.
I think Nintendo Power would be a fun one. Did you guys all have Nintendo Power?
My friend did.
I had some from a friend. Like I'd trade him stuff, like Pogs or whatever, for his old copies that he was done with. So I had a couple copies. I think they're gone now, but I never subscribed. I might have bought a couple here and there. I don't know about you.
I had a subscription, and I turned many of the now they're worth money now. They're all like collector's items. A lot of these fetch for some money, and I wanted Mega Man Pogs, and I turned a lot of my Nintendo Power into Pogs because they had the Pog making kit. The most 90s fucking sentence I've ever said, where I cut my Nintendo Powers and made Pog with them.
Oh,
Dude, I used to rip out all the
brutal.
posters.
Brutal.
I used to have all the posters on my wall and everything.
Did you hang them? You hung them up?
Hung them up. Like there's like Metroid. All of them
Posters?
are hanging. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, those are cool.
That's my next find. I'm waiting for a Goodwill to have one of those, like a stock of Nintendo Pros or Nintendo Powers.
They'll have it.
If I find it, that's gonna be me, right?
That's gonna be you, Nick. So do you wanna take us out?
So follow us on all major. Hey, Matt. Actually, quick question. I know we're on. Do you know if we're on Stitcher Radio?
I need to check. I know we're on Spotify. I'll check Stitcher. I think we are. I think we're on all major ones, but
I mean, I'm gonna blanket this. Follow us on all wherever you listen to your podcast, be it Apple, Google Podcast, Spotify, your mom's asshole.
all right.
At Spindash Retro. Also follow us on Twitter at Spindash Retro, as well as the good old Instagram at Spindash Retro. All right, well, you guys all take it easy. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any complaints, please write us. Actually, write John. He loves that shit. And if you have anything good to say, it's all about me and Matt. Remember that.
Good deal. Thanks, guys.